Right, welcome everyone. This is the Love Island cast. We are back again. I am Chris Phelps, the Love Island superfan, some would say. And the not so cynical and rather enjoying Love Island, I can't call him a fan yet, is my co-host and good friend, Mr. Dave Horrocks.
Hey Chris, you can possibly call I'm possibly that born again type fan, aren't I? I was listening back to the podcast and recognised that I wasn't actually being cynical anymore. I was quite enjoying it, and it was like I didn't expect that to happen in week one, but no, there you go.
No, I didn't.
Speak to you again.
And also another fan of Love Island who's been dragged in, and he's a very good friend of mine and Dave's, is Mr. Asa Caton. Welcome to the show, Mr. Caton.
Good evening, guys, and thank you for having me.
Well, Asa is a good friend of mine and Dave's because we were all in a band together, and Ace was known as the human metronome, Dave was the tremendous bass player, and I was the out-of-key singer, so that's where we all know each other. And Asa is chomping at the bit to come on and talk about Love Island. So, Asa, the floor is yours. Where do you want to start? Because obviously we've had 4 episodes now. We've talked about various people. We've had a little blip about Anton. We've had Tommy. We've had this little thing with Molly May that's going on. So you can start us off tonight, mate.
So, guys, I think I'm coming from the show probably somewhere in between the two of you. I know, Chris, you love the show, and Dave, you pretend to be a cynic, or I think you've been slightly converted. I think and I have to say, it's absolutely hilarious for me to listen to you psychoanalyzing these guys, because it's just, I expect it from Chris. Anybody who knows Chris, they expect it. But anybody who knows you, and to a certain degree, anybody who listens to this podcast and hears me on here is going to say, hang on a minute, you walk around saying you hate the show. I walk around the house saying I hate the show. And Emma, my fiance, who's currently tucked away in the kitchen behind me, will say, don't you be telling everyone I force you to watch it. You watch it because you enjoy it. And I've got to be honest, I kind of have that love-hate relationship with it. I hate the show, and I can't think of anything worse than, like Dave said, these narcissistic arseholes just sat in this, idyllic villa on an island somewhere, topping the tans up, and just tearing each other to shreds and pretending to be something they're not. And, that element of it boils my blood. But if there's one thing I love, it's psychoanalyzing these people, because the psychology behind it, and just trying to second guess what they're going to do next, and just how low these people can stoop. It's gripping, isn't it?
Yeah, it shouldn't be, but it is. And Mr. Horrocks, I think you need to take this one up, because I told you I would get you sucked in, and it's not very often that any of my plans come to fruition. You both know me too well that if there's a harebrained scheme, I'm involved. But this one is, even you, Asa, of all people, I cannot believe it. So, Dave, what have you got to say about that?
Well, to be fair, I did say that, back in the early Big Brother days, I was absolutely engrossed, and, as well as watching the edited shows, you could watch it online, 24/7, couldn't you? And I was well into it. And then it started to lose me, sort of series 2 onwards. I mentioned like when Bubble was in there, remember that one, but they just seemed to get more and more extreme characters in. And so it seemed to be less about this social experiment and more just about, shock TV kind of thing. And it got to not a crescendo, that's probably not the right word, but I have to say one of my favourite reality shows, but then pretty much turned me away from the whole genre, was There's Something About Miriam. I don't know if you guys remember that one.
No.
So basically, there was a bit like The Bachelorette kind of thing, only this absolutely stunning woman is actually a dude. So you've got these all these guys.
I have seen it.
You have seen that one.
Yes, I've seen it.
You've got these guys all fighting for her affections, and then the guy wins it at the end. And over this series of weeks, you've basically got them falling in love pretty much with this Miriam. And then it was just the cruelest thing I've ever seen, because this guy won. He was on cloud nine. It's just the best thing ever. They're going to get sent away on this this dream holiday. And then just before she says, just before we go off, I've got something to tell you. And, says I was actually a man. And unlike when they made the joke in the IT crowd, if you remember that, where he said, "Oh, just to think you thought I'd be bothered that you were from Iran." This one, he heard it properly this time, and I just thought it was the cruelest thing ever, and that one sticks out in my mind, and so I turned away from the whole genre. And so when I saw it coming up again, it just didn't interest me at all, but through the podcast and actually sitting down and, not playing about with my phone, actually watching it, you just can't help but get sucked into it. And these are all unlikable people, for me at least, but you're just interested in it. It's like to obviously a lesser standard, it's like watching a real Game of Thrones, isn't it? You've got all these interactions, these alliances, these relationships, these tactical couplings and whatever. So, I hold my hands up. I thought it might happen because I've got a history of getting sucked into these things, but I didn't think it'd be in week one.
No. And I think as well, let's hope it's got a better ending than that fucking Game of Thrones. But anyway, there you go. It's character-wise, because obviously me and Dave have done an analysis of some of the people and talked about, and then you can probably hear with me, I love this sort of nonsense, but I'm not like blinded by the fact that they're all absolute wankers. But who do you like and who do you dislike out of everyone?
Oh, I'm just wondering whether to go through this in alphabetical order or in order of people I hate and like, or I really don't know. But I think the one that probably stirs my emotions more than any other is Tommy. Because Tommy, just for me, have you seen? You must have seen the Mr. Men. He reminds me of Mr. Rush. He's like a kite with legs. He's just right. He's that triangle, isn't he? That's skip leg day.
I think he's more like Mr. Tickle with those arms.
Johnny Bravo, where he's all shoulders and no legs. But the guy, he's like a 10-year-old with a thesaurus. He's like Russell Brand.
What was it he was saying last night about the hypothesis or the diagnosis?
He opens his mouth and all these words come out, and he hasn't got a fucking clue what any of them mean.
Yeah.
Some people say that about us, but I mean, for me, he's a one-trick pony, Tommy, isn't he? Because he's a gorgeous-looking bloke, got the body for it and everything. He's got the fame, but all he can do is he goes in there and says, right, I don't want to be messing about. I'm not just looking for a quick thing. I'm in it for a real connection. But that's all he's got to his game, it seems.
But at the moment, the ladies are lapping it up, aren't they? But I don't think it's going to take long for that, shtick to unravel. Because if you noticed, was it Curtis that was talking about him last night when there was the peppermint tea and the omelette fest going on?
Yeah.
And Curtis just kind of turned, and Curtis is supposed to be his best mate in there. And he just kind of turned around and said, well, at least Tommy's got one thing going for him. He's a good boxer. Curtis is backing off him a little bit, isn't he? Because I think he's realised that whole Tommy shtick is unravelling a little bit. But, talking about Curtis, I don't think I could dislike anybody any more than Curtis. He is an utter snake.
Yep.
Do not trust him. I do not trust him one little bit. And what turned it for me was the whole love triangle between Tommy, Lucy, and Joe. Mm-hmm. Because he's just one of those guys that gets involved in everybody else's business. And I can understand he's come in with Tommy, so he's Tommy's mate. But, he went off to Tommy and said, you've got to stay true to your feelings and you've got to fight for Lucy. even though she's told you she's not interested, she's going to go with Joe. And then he went off to Lucy and said, I know you said you prefer Joe, but you've got to keep your options open. And then, to top it all off, he went off to Joe and said, yeah, mate, what you need to do is you need to play it cool and back off a little bit. And I watched him do that.
Do you think he's like Littlefinger?
Yeah. Oh, what a great comparison.
Yeah.
He's an absolute snake.
He's a shitster. Asa, I've said it, and Dave, I've said it, I know we've had it on the podcast, but I said the same. I'm not completely buying this good guy act with him. I'm totally in agreement with you. I think he's seen the programme, he's played the game. Look, nobody's that nice. I don't care how much. And eventually, on something like this, the mask will slip. He'll drop a bollock somewhere along there. I know that if he is genuine, then I'll hold my hands up. I know you quite like him, Dave, don't you? But I genuinely have said from the start, I think there's just something not completely kosher about him.
Well, I think the best thing that could happen to him now is for somebody to come in and start taking interest in Amy and just unsettle him a little bit and actually get him thinking about his own game and not everybody else's.
That's true. Go on, Dave. I can see you looking.
No, I don't know. I just, it's like you say, when you put it like that, Asa, because he comes across to me as he probably just is genuine. But you might be right, when you put it like that, he's orchestrated what happened. And then Lucy's head absolutely was turned. She was really torn up by it, and she took on board Curtis's advice and, nearly split up. From day one, it looked like Joe and Lucy were a pretty good couple. But then, he's obviously screwed that up a bit. So we'll see.
Can I just say, what the fuck are we doing talking about Love Island?
I was just thinking, can you imagine in some of our epic gigs that we used to have, if our future selves came back to the future style and just said, you know what, guys, in about 10, 12 years' time, you're going to be sat doing a podcast. Well, first of all, we'd want to know what the hell a podcast was, but you'd be doing like a radio show on a Love Island type show. You'd just say, kill me now.
But not only that, I mean, this is probably the first conversation that we've had in 10 years. We're talking about Love Island.
I think we're actually doing another show soon, actually reviewing, and we review Back to the Future. And I'm on Back to the Future 3. I've gone through all 3 of them today, literally. And I reckon that I would come forward in time and just punch myself straight in the nose if it was 2019. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I agree that you two I regard as one of the most intelligent people I know. And you're so passionate. What do you talk about? Fucking Love Island.
You need to get out more.
Yeah, definitely. But just going back to punching yourself on the nose, you do realise I'm contractually obliged to say it's a bit of a soft target.
We've been there, Asa, now. Come on now. leave the moneymaker out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, what about the... what have you, Asa, I want to know your opinion on Joe, because me and Dave think he's an absolute fucking Fruit Loop.
Right. This is probably going to be unpopular opinion. I think he's been a bit hard done to over the whole Lucy-Tommy triangle. He's done some things that are, that have made him come across a little bit unhinged.
Like Norman Bates?
Yeah, I say unhinged. He's acted in that jealous way. But he did go in both feet with Lucy, and he's coupled up with probably one of the better girls in there. Got his feet under the table, reckons he's safe, and within 24 hours, Tommy's come in and he's just gone, shit.
Yeah. And it's editing as well. I know what you mean.
I can't condone how he's acted or what he's done. Not that he needs me to condone it. He's his own person. But yes, it's come across. I think it's the editing that's making him come across more unhinged than he actually is. And that's probably the most polite thing I can say about him.
That's fair enough. I think me and Dave, I still think there's something not right with him. I genuinely do. I think there's just something. That look he gave her the other day, and I know it can just be a quick picture. Anybody can look, suspicious or mad or angry, but the stuff he's done is very bizarre.
But I don't think she's all that innocent either.
No, I don't.
She kind of came in as this girl next door kind of type girl, and I don't know. I think she's probably just as much to blame for the triangle as Tommy. But
yeah.
She got up super fast, didn't she? So when Tommy said, because she had no choice about it really, but she just seemed to get up really, really quick and go off for that date. And then, it didn't take her that long to be like all laughy and jokey and stuff. So
yeah. And
I agree.
She didn't like it when Joe did the same thing.
But then he went and admitted it to Amber, didn't he? Which I thought was a bit weird.
Yeah.
It's just, don't you just have a chat without being flirty?
I said this on Twitter the other day, and Chris picked up on it on the Love Island cast Twitter. That actually, I think she's playing a very clever game, because when the coupling happened on Friday night, and we were left with Lucy and Molly May, and we were left with Callum, Joe, and Tommy. How do I remember all this? This is crazy.
I asked myself the same thing, Asa, to be honest.
And I think in the back of her head, she's thought, right, she's got a game to play here, because if she picks Tommy, she doesn't know if Molly May's going to pick Callum or Joe. Because she'd actually spent, Molly May, when she went in, actually spent a bit of time with Callum talking, and they were cleverly edited that into the programme.
Tick, tick, tick.
So, yeah, exactly. So I think she's just said, right, she said to herself, right, okay, if I don't keep Joe in, there's a chance that he's going to go. So I'll keep Joe in. Molly May will pick Tommy. And then, we're good to go. We can carry on with our going. So if things don't work out with Joe, I reckon she'll be back onto Tommy in a flash. And especially now, as we realise that, Molly May's not exactly head over heels in love with Tommy, is she?
No,
not at all.
No,
she soon got bored.
She was shown tonight that she said, I like Tommyland, but I don't understand it. And it's just about sort of him and boxing, and I know every member of his family, but he doesn't know me. And then the next minute, she says tonight, apparently, I want a bit of Dannyland.
She seems to be quite interested in Anton Land as well, though, doesn't she?
Dave, Anton's into everyone's land.
Yeah, but he's just a nutter, though, isn't he?
He's got an unlimited pass, hasn't he? Just.
I've heard this line every time I've been into you since the start, and all. It's just like,
he just doesn't stop speaking, does he? Like he just goes 100 miles an hour, and he always tells the blokes before he's gonna steam in there and try and steal their bird light. When he was saying to Tommy, he's like, I've got too much respect for you, and he just doesn't stop for 10 minutes, and Tommy can't say anything. So no, I think Anton's growing on me in that David Brent kind of way, and he's just trying to get into anyone's bed, basically.
Well, yeah, I think if you wanted to pick the ideal candidate for Love Island, he would tick most of the boxes, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Without a doubt. I think for me, it unravels tonight because the two girls. I think it's what's called. I can't pronounce the name.
Yuandi,
whatever she's called. She and Amber, they go on a date with this Danny, and then she gets in there and says she's a bit jealous. So you've seen a little clip before, and I think the girls are starting to turn on her now. So this is where I said to you, I'd messaged Dave before, Asa, saying, this is where it all starts. This is where my little cauldron there stirring it. I love it. I love all this nonsense. Because you're right. This is why none of them survive when they get out, because they're arguing over drinks and food and nonsense. But today, actually, just a quick one. There's a guy called Ken who is in it. Ken and Amber from, I know it was last year, the year before. And he's on this morning. He's like their Love Island specialist and stuff, talking about the show. And everyone always asks why it's not on a Saturday. And Dave, you said the same, didn't you? How to do Saturday to me.
Yeah.
And he's just revealed. I don't think he should have done, but he turned around and said they actually get the day off on a Saturday. So they get to go to the beach and just away from it all. They don't have a microphone on. They said the cast and crew watch him. So there's no game playing and all this, and like a chaperone, and make sure they're just having a normal day. But yeah, they just got like a day off. So
I don't like that.
No, that just makes no sense from what you're watching, really.
Yeah, you kind of want it to be a pressure cooker, don't you? So that, that people start to behave in pressure cooker type environments. So the fact that they can just get a day off and chill out, I don't like that. Even if they don't show it, they should film most of it, and there might just be the occasional gem in there. They can go out, clean the villa, they can go on a day excursion or something, but still film it.
Yeah, that's what they said. They said the cast and the crew get to clean all the villa up, and that's what they do for the day. So they take them out somewhere for the day. So I'd seen it with Big Brother where they did one where they told them all to say goodnight, and then it got released, the video, by mistake, and then they said, right, cut, and then they all went to bed. And this was a couple of series ago, but so I'm not completely convinced it's 100% kosher, because obviously if you watch daft things like Towie and that, and they reenact these scenes, you just sort of like, yeah, that's never happened. That you wouldn't just stand there while some blokes cheated on his girlfriend and her boyfriend's there. They'd be fighting, wouldn't they, in the street and stuff. So it's all, which is what we want, really, gentlemen, don't we? We want a bit of wanton violence.
I must admit, there's been a few times when I've thought, maybe Tommy's just going to smack Anton. I'd watch that.
I think that's what everybody wants.
Yeah. Because yesterday when he said about when he made that omelette, and then he was saying about the brew, and he was just proper slaying him, Anton, and I thought, he's that lad in the corner where eventually someone's just going to backhand him if he carries on, because I genuinely thought, Tommy was like bubbling up. He was dead pleased with his cheese omelette, wasn't he?
Don't forget the salt and pepper, yeah. He was well pleased with himself, wasn't
he? He was.
So, Asa, thank you for coming on today. Give you predictions who you think at this point in time is going to win Love Island, and also where can everyone get you? Because you are also in a very successful covers band as well.
Yeah, thanks very much. So right now, I think, my favourite, I think, has got to be Amber. I know she came in and sort of everyone took that initial view that she was perhaps a bit of a bitch, but I think she's just living up to she's been true to what she said from the start. She's just brutally honest with people. And I think as people realise that that's what she's about, I think if she finds a good match in there, I think she's got a good chance of staying to the end.
Good call.
What do you reckon to her and Michael?
I'm not a big fan of Michael, if I'm honest. I think he's been underestimated by you, Andy. I thought that was a bit brutal when she kind of only really paid a bit of interest to him when she realised he had a science degree and he was a firefighter. I mean, at the end of the day, he is a Scouser, so that's got to count against him, surely. But I don't think there's any of the guys in there that I'm really rooting for. Yeah. I think there's a few. There's a lot of damp squibs in there. I think if I was going to root for any of them right now, I think it would probably be Anton, just for the fact that you know what he's about. This series is literally going to be about him shagging his way through the villa.
Or trying at least.
Yeah.
No, the reason I mentioned Michael, there was a little moment last night where they seemed to hit it off, and Amber, I mean, I don't warm to her, quite honestly, as much as you do, but she was saying to Michael, no one gets my banter. And I haven't seen any banter whatsoever from her. She just puts people down. She's like, so you're 28 then, so you're old. I've not seen any banter, but her and Michael did seem to hit it off on the sofa. So I just wondered whether that would be maybe a bit of a slow burner there.
Yeah, it could be.
Possibly.
So Asa, where can everyone get you?
So, yeah, you mentioned a successful covers band, tribute band. You can find me on Twitter, obviously, at Social Tornado, which is my own account, or you can find me at AKA Noel Gallagher, or on Instagram, which is AKA Noel Gallagher, and on Facebook, which is AKA Noel Gallagher Tribute.
So what do you tribute?
We're a tribute to the Libertines. No, We are the only Noel Gallagher tribute band name checked by the chief himself, and we go around all around the UK playing Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds and Oasis tunes. So yeah, get on the website and onto the Facebook page, and you can see where we're playing over the next few months. Come and see us; that'd be good.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Now, Dave, where can everyone get us?
The LoveIslandCast@gmail.com, and they can get us on Instagram and Twitter at LoveIslandCast. Now, Chris, how do you want to see us out?
Well, a big thank you to Asa, big thank you to yourself, Dave, and all I've got to say is if I've learned anything over this week, it's always put salt and pepper with your omelette. We'll see you next time, and Asa will definitely be back on to talk more Love Island. See you guys.